Hi guys, it's Michelle with Deception Bytes, and I'm back here for part 2 of Q's drops from today, February 11th, 2018, and it's Sunday. Now, I did check before recording this. It is 10:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there has been no further Q posts, so I will take you up to the end of what he has posted for today, assuming that he is not going to post something further while I'm recording this, and he could because he's like that. Anyway, let's push through here. I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible without sacrificing clarity. On this post, Q says, "Think BDT, NYC attempt." Now that he's talking there about the Bangladeshi terrorist in New York City that attempted the bombing and kind of blew himself up. Not really, he hurt himself, but he wasn't killed. So that's what he's talking about right there. And the reason he's bringing it up, and Barlow, of course, is John Perry Barlow that died, the guy that was part of the Grateful Dead, and he was co-founder of the Electronic Freedom Foundation. So anyway, that is who he's talking about. And in both those cases, Q stated he talked about it before it even happened. So that's what he's saying. He's reminding us, and he's saying not stated for verification of credibility. So he's saying it wasn't, not doing this for verification of my credibility. Why are we still here giving foreknowledge of events? No FBI investigation into this? Impossible to locate? Now, I happen to think that what he's saying right here is, okay, if this wasn't being done with the knowledge of the current government, if this Q was part of some elaborate ruse, do you not think the FBI would be investigating it? So why aren't they? I mean, if he was not legit, if Q, and of course we know Q is a team, we know it's not just a he or a she, it's a they, but why? And I don't understand how people can continue to say that that this is a ruse when, there's been no mention of it by Donald Trump, the current president, and there's been no investigation into it that we're aware of. So why not? And he's asking, impossible to locate? Is Q impossible to locate? Is that why? Is that why there's been no investigation into this? Why? How is he even able to give foreknowledge of events? How? Who can do that? And then he says less than 10. Well, what's he talking about there? Less than 10. Now, I went back to his posts and I put in less than 10 because I remember him saying that on other occasions. So I'm going to move down here because I have made a screen print of those shots, or a screen print of those posts. Now, he said back in December 1st, 2017, Q said less than 10 can confirm me. And then he's saying Twitter retweet, coincidence, because, I mean, there's all these things that, Donald J. Trump will post something on Twitter, and, Q will post it just a few minutes before, or just all these weird things happen with Q. Now, November 2nd, he said, you can count the people who have the full picture on two hands. Of those, less than 10 people, so there's less than 10 people that have the full picture of what's going on. And of those 10 people, less than 10 people, so it's not 10 people, it's less than 10, only 3 are non-military. Now, this down here is when he talked about the bomb attempt. BDT, false flag posts versus actual news of bomb attempt. Now, I didn't go out to get all that stuff because I know that it was posted before because I've been doing this, and I've used up so much time looking into this today that I just wanted to get this out. But he did indeed post the BDT and the bomb attempt, like the Bangladesh terrorist and the bomb attempt in New York City, and he most definitely posted about Barlow. So less than 10. He's talking about here, that there's less than 10 people who know who he is and can verify who he is. So then he says, who are we talking to? Well, obviously Q is talking to someone, or else Q just has this knowledge. Well, how would he have that knowledge? Well, I suppose if Q was in the NSA, he would have that knowledge, because it's here, Q says, since clown takedown, and clowns, of course, are the CIA. He calls them clowns in America, which I find mildly humorous. Since clown takedown of black ops, local public exposure, what has changed here? Well, what has changed is they're now in charge of the communications via the NSA, whereas there were bad actors in the NSA before, right? Well, now they have control. So they're in control of the communications. So I guess they're able to find out via chatter and so forth what's going to happen, I guess. Now, like I've said many, many times, I do not have all the answers. I'm trying to apply some logic here, but again, I've been wrong before, and I will be the first person to admit it when I am. So, but that's what I believe he's talking about. And then he says, expand your thinking, as he often does. This is not a game, and he's often said that. It's not a game. And you can get lulled into thinking that, like, oh, this is a game. It's kind of, it's fun to get all these little codes and decipher things. But you've got to realize that this is real life. This is happening in real life. It's not a game. It's not a computer game. It's not a spy game. It's real life. Then he says Red October. And I thought this was interesting, because in the past, he's always said the hunt for Red October. Well, the hunt for, it's gone. Now it's just Red October. And it's interesting because then further up, Q mentions that, because I think that he's had to dumb it down a little bit because people weren't getting it. So he puts Red October here. Now, to me, that's a big clue, because the hunt for is gone. So that means they found Red October. Whatever Red October is, they found it. Now, I happen to believe that it's computer related, and doesn't have anything to do with a submarine. That's personal. That's my personal take on it. I just don't believe it's the submarine. I don't. And Red October was the name of some malware, and I can't remember exactly. I do have the details of that somewhere, and I may even be up further. So, but that's what I believe it is. And then, of course, he signs off Q, as he always does. So that's what I think he's talking about there, and I think that he's just just reminding us that he has said these things in advance. And it's interesting here too, okay? Just let me touch on this. He stated, it's not stated for verification of credibility. Okay, then why is he doing this? If he's not trying to verify his credibility, then why is he doing this? Right? Because I thought that that's why he was doing it, so that we would verify and say, okay, he really is who he says he is, because he's giving us advanced knowledge of this. But he's saying here, none of this is stated for verification of credibility. Okay, then why is it stated? Maybe it's sending a message to the bad actors. We know in advance what you're going to do. We know, we see you. We got your number. That's what I think. Now, let's move on. The next post, Q drops a security test, which happens from time to time. He's testing to see if the board is secure. Q, and the fact that he continues to post means that it is, because if it wasn't, he would stop posting immediately. Now, a anonymous user posts this. I would like to inquire of Q, with highest respect, whether Red October refers to 1. The fictional submarine whose torpedo homed in on itself and destroyed itself, or 2. The Red October cyber espionage malware discovered in October 2012 to January 2013. It operated worldwide for up to 5 years before its discovery. It sent info ranging from diplomatic secrets to personal information, including from mobile devices. Red October was termed an advanced cyber espionage campaign intended to target diplomatic, governmental, and scientific research organizations worldwide. Or 3, something else. Now, this is interesting, okay, because he's talking here about the Russian cyber espionage malware, okay, Red October. Now, who was just taken down? In Fraud We Trust, the guy that ran that organization, and Sergey, oh gosh, his last name is escaping me, but it was just in the last video. Oh gosh, I hate when that happens. Brain fade. Okay, so anyway, you know, he was just taken down. And notice how the hunt for was dropped. And now Q says that. See, that's a clue. Future news will highlight. Note, the hunt for was dropped. Details matter. Q. And so the fact that the hunt for was dropped means they found it. They found Red October. So maybe this guy that they just took into custody, maybe he was the author of that, or had something to do with it. I don't know. But it's sure interesting to think about, because this guy that they took down was an expert in all that stuff. I mean, really expert. So let's push on. Now that they've found the Red October, we can all sleep better. I hope. Okay, now this is the next. Actually, he references. Okay, hang on here. Okay, this is Q putting this. He's saying North Korea is a CIA black site. Operation Mockingbird is a CIA media control. Who in the media right now is glorifying North Korea? And I'm going up to this one because the one below it references this. So we have to understand this. We have to understand this. North Korea's CIA black site, Operation Mockingbird, CIA media control. Who in the media right now is glorifying North Korea to spite the Trump administration? CNN. And we're going to go out to this, hang on, this picture. And this is the picture that he references. And I know it's hard to see. Hang on, see if I can make it a little bigger. This is the picture that Q references. And it's CNN, Commie News Network. And he's just showing the different stuff, ways that they have glorified North Korea. So let's go back. And of course, just to refresh your memory, if you've forgotten, Operation Mockingbird was an alleged large-scale program of the United States Central Intelligence Agency that began in the early 1950s and attempted to manipulate news media for propaganda purposes. And Q has stated that that program wasn't stopped. It's still in operation. And I think we all knew that the CIA was involved in television and news and so forth. So anyway, time to take the offensive. let's start taking names of all journalists that propagate North Korea. Let's not let them hide behind their banners anymore. Let's play Hunt the Spook. Now, then, Q asks, ask yourself, why is North Korea participating in the Olympic Games this year? Ask yourself, why is the sister with Pence? So Kim Jong-un is with Mike Pence. Isn't that odd? His sister. I think to give him intel, personally, and we'll see why. Ask yourself, if controlled, how might you protect someone and look for a way out? Or protect yourself and look for a way out? Ask yourself, what is a distraction? Ask yourself, why did Korea come together as a country versus North and South? Well, that's obvious. They want unity. They want unity. North Korea is a CIA black site, and they're participating in the Olympic Games this year. I don't believe that North Korea itself wants to be separated from the South. I don't. I think they want unity. And the sister is with Pence, maybe to give him intel, because their hands are being forced. Now, if controlled, how might you protect yourself and look for a way out? Well, wouldn't that be a good way to somehow be able to get with, an official of the U.S. to talk to them? And what better way than under cover of the Olympics? Ask yourself, what is distraction? Well, it's something to keep your attention focused on while something else happens. Ask yourself, okay, they want unity, that's why. Ask yourself, what occurred in Asia? Reference pics just prior to the O Games. Ask yourself, what does freed mean? Ask yourself, do we want a war? No, we do not want a war. Ask yourself, who is trying to start a war? Well, the CIA and the deep state. And certainly you could say North Korea, but I don't think it's North Korea itself. I think it's the CIA, the deep state within North Korea, that's wanting to start the war. Ask yourself, if a missile was launched by rogue actors, what would be the purpose? Well, to start World War III, because it would. Ask yourself, what should immediately start a war? Well, let me tell you, if an intercontinental ballistic missile was launched and hit U.S. soil, whether it be Guam or Hawaii or wherever, that's going to start war. And it is. Ask yourself, would the public understand the following statement? Rogue actors initiated a missile launch in order to force the U.S. into war conflict against X. Now, when he's saying X, he's just saying against whatever country. Of course. Could you believe, if that came across your news, if a ballistic missile hit somewhere within the U.S., okay, whether it be wherever, even if it hit Guam, do you not think that if Trump and the administration came out and said, look, this was not North Korea, this was not China, this was not Russia, this was rogue actors, the CIA, U.S. former heads of state, they're the ones. They initiated a missile launch in order to force us into a war. Now, what would people say? They'd want to have Donald Trump committed. They would. And they would, because people believe whatever CNN tells them to believe. So, yeah, there's no way people would believe that. There isn't. And these people, the deep state, the clowns, they know that. They know that narrative wouldn't go over well because no one would believe it. And they would say that Trump has lost his mind. He needs to be taken out of office. There's something wrong with him, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Now, then he says, be the artists that we know you are. Those who cannot understand that we cannot simply start arresting without first ensuring the safety and well-being of the population, shifting the narrative, removing those in DC through resignation to ensure success, defeating ISIS, MS-13 to prevent fail-safes, freezing assets to remove network-to-network abilities, kill off the COC, to prevent top-down communications, COC, chain of command. Kill off the chain of command to prevent top-down communications with organizations, etc., should not be participating in discussions. Now, that is aimed at the 8chan boards. That's who that's aimed at, because everyone keeps demanding, oh, come on, nothing's happening. Come on. Let's see some action. Take them down. Like, that's all you see. I see it in the comments on my channel. I see it on the comments on other people's channels. And I see it all over the 8chan board. People are impatient. They're wanting it to happen now. And it's like, oh, come on, just take them down. Well, it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. So he's saying, you know what? We can't simply start arresting people, because first you got to ensure the safety and well-being of the population. You've got to shift the narrative. You've got to remove those in DC through resignation to ensure success. They had to defeat ISIS and MS-13. They had to freeze the assets. They had to kill off the chain of command. Now, that's pretty easy to understand. And he's saying, you know what? If you can't understand that, don't participate in the discussions. And he's talking specifically to the 8chan boards, because these are the people that are trying to figure this stuff out. And in a lot of cases, they end up being cogs in the wheel. And so then he signs off Q. Now, that is the strongest I've heard Q talk, in terms of he's talking to them and to us, because all of us that are trying to discern that, decipher this stuff. I do not post on the boards, because a lot of it is some of it, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but some of it is really good information. A lot of it's silly. It's just silliness. Because there are some people there that are very intelligent, and there's some people there that are young and don't have the experience to be able to. And I'm not saying I have the answers either. I'm really not. It takes us all looking at this, all of us. We all have something to contribute. So that's what Q is talking about there. And he's wanting us to know that North Korea is part of the deep state. It's under CIA control, and he said that many, many times. And it's not necessarily the people that seem to be in charge of North Korea that actually are. So let's go on. Now, okay, an anonymous user posted this, which is the passenger list from the airplane that crashed in Russia. And they've got an arrow pointing to this guy. And they ask, could this have been the target? And this is his name. And remember, I couldn't pronounce it, so I pronounced it VP in the last video. He is Rosatom's Special Representative for International Scientific and Technical Projects. He's former Deputy Director General of Rosatom, and he's been appointed to Rosatom's Special Representative for International Science and Technical Projects. This is exactly what I read to you before. This anonymous user has posted this, asking Q is this the target? Was this who they were after? So I won't read all this because we covered it in the last video. And Q responds, over the target. So that's affirmative. Q is saying, yes, that was the target. Over the target, Q. So we definitely know that that is who they were targeting, and that's who they wanted to take down, and they murdered 70 people to get that one. Well, including him, they murdered 71. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That Q just posted that out of the blue, and it's like, okay, seemed kind of out of place, but we'll see if it is or not. I think that he's giving us advanced knowledge of something right here. That's what I think. And this is, I'm sure everybody's heard of her. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is a U.S. Supreme Court Justice, the second woman to be appointed to the position. I know she's all, whoa. Hang on. Woo! Sorry about that. Now, I know she's survived cancer twice, and she's quite a courageous woman in terms of that. She's also the most liberal Supreme Court Justice, and she's vehemently anti-Trump. So what is Q giving us advanced knowledge of something? Is she going to resign? I don't know. But let's go down to here because it goes through. She's been through a lot of presidents. She's a liberal darling. But let me see here. Historic rulings. Nope. Bush versus Gore. I thought there was something about Trump in here. I know there is. Come on. There was. I swear there was. It was in there. Well, there was. I'm telling you, it was there. Oh, I hate that. Sorry about that. I could swear there was a section on Trump in there. Oh, well, it's not there now. So let's go back to here. I don't know what he's trying to tell us about her, although if his past posts are any indication, he does that. He drops a name and then something will happen. She's going to be coming up in the news within the next few days. You can just about guarantee that. So let's move on. So this is a Q post, and he is saying, timestamp, @Snowden, truth to power, drop, truth to power. Okay, now what he is saying here is there was a Twitter @Snowden that mentioned truth to power, and then there was a Q drop that mentioned truth to power. And he's saying learn. So what's he talking about? Okay, well, this timestamp of the @Snowden, truth to power, happened February 11th at 1:59 a.m. Okay, the Q drop, truth to power, Q wrote it in the drop on February 10th at 5:23 a.m. So he's saying learn. See, Q dropped it, then this other person dropped it. So how did Q know? That's what he's saying. Learn. Now, he's going to get into that further. This is the actual post. This is the actual Twitter, okay, that he's referencing. Hang on. I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger, okay? And they're talking about this person. I don't know who they are, but anyways, speaking truth to power, okay? And Q team refers to this retweet by at Snowden. So Snowden retweeted that. Snowden retweeted that after Q had mentioned it in a post. All right. Now, so this anonymous user is just referencing it and telling everybody on the 8chan channels that Q refers to this retweet by at Snowden. Now, Q responds to that and says, "You will cease to exist." Timestamp. So what is the timestamp of "you will cease to exist"? Well, that was in the same drop. It was said at the same time, and that was February 10th, 5/23. Now, was he talking about her? Because this was, I'm having a hard time explaining this because it's a little bit confusing, but Q dropped that drop, okay, that said "you will cease to exist." He mentioned both "you will cease to exist" and truth to power, okay? Those two things were mentioned in that, and that was done February 10th at 5:23 a.m. Then Snowden, I guess within a day later, retweeted this. And what is this? Well, it mentions truth to power, and it mentions this person dying. So, what do you think? Interesting. How did Q know? How did Q know that Snowden was going to tweet that? How did he know? I don't know. Now, QAnon asks another question of Q, and he says, "You will cease to exist. Truth to power." And this is actually what he tweeted. He's just reiterating what Q had tweeted, what Q had dropped. "You will cease to exist. Truth to power. How's the bunker these days? 14 live. Hello." PEOC force failed. Q. And we went over that actually a couple videos ago. So Q responds and says, "Coincidence? Truth to power? Coincidence? Barlow?" And Barlow, of course, is the guy from the Grateful Dead and the co-founder of EFF that died. "Learn. What if Snowden was still a clown?" Now, he's not asking that. He knows the question. I mean, he knows the answers to the questions that he's asking. They're rhetorical. What if Snowden was still a clown? Well, that could also be read as Snowden is still a clown. Snowden is still CIA. Why would it be important he was in Russia? So Snowden is still CIA. So why is he in Russia? Why is it important that he's in Russia? Learn. Q. I don't know. What is he in Russia for? And if he is a clown, is he, I don't know, did he have something to do with the plane? I don't know. These are all good questions that we don't know at this time. But, you know, if we can learn from past Q drops, we know that he will continue to drop more and more information until we get it. So I don't know what Snowden is doing in Russia right now, but I'm sure we're going to find out. And then Q says, "Learn." Q. And we're pushing through to the next one. Now this is Q again, and he's just reiterating everything again. He's wanting us to get it. Timestamp at Snowden. So the timestamp of Snowden tweeting truth to power, drop truth to power, When did that occur? Learn, Q. Well, we know that Snowden said it after Q said it. Snowden tweeted that after Q's drop, a day after Q's drop. Then he says, you will cease to exist. Timestamp, learn. That happened a day before Snowden tweeted truth to power with that lady that had died. Then he says, coincidence, truth to power, coincidence, Barlow, learn. What if Snowden was still a clown? Why would it be important he was in Russia? Learn, Q. So Q's just stating it again. And do we have it? I don't think so. I mean, I understand about this. I don't understand why Snowden is in Russia, what his role is there. I don't know. But I'm quite confident we will find out. So, here's another interesting, very interesting Q post. He shows that picture, and it's a bad picture, it's bad resolution, and I haven't been able to find a better one of it either, but he posted this picture. And there's the man who we don't speak about. Right here, the one that they're afraid to say his name. I don't think they're afraid to say her name. I can't remember how he phrased that, but it was basically, him of who we do not speak. Now, so that's McCain, and we don't say his name. Yeah, we don't say his name. We don't say his name is returning to primetime, and of course he's pictured here with terrorists. Yeah, having tea and crumpets, I guess. Or I just shooting the breeze with them. Now, wonder if so Q is telling us that he's returning to prime time. McCain is returning to prime time. Wonder if his so-called illness condition will flare up. He is not a war hero. And that's in quotations, so he's quoting someone. He's a mega millionaire. I'm going to make this smaller again. Okay. He's a mega millionaire. McCain Institute. And then he's got a link to McCain Institute donors. And why not just, go take a peek for the heck of it. And these are the $100,000 and above donations. You've got to be making some serious cash if you're going to donate that kind of money. And you can go out here and you can go find this yourself. It's just McCainInstitute.org under donors, and you can just look at all these people. But there's a few that he wants us to pay attention to. So let's see who they are. Rothschild, Clintons, Saudi Arabia, etc. And then he said not complete. So he's not saying this list, Rothschilds, Clintons, Saudi Arabia, is not complete. He's saying their list of donors is not complete. There's probably other donors that aren't listed there. Now, let's take a look at this. And these are links that he has put into the post. These aren't links that I've put in for clarification. These are actually Q's links. I'm proud that the Institute is named after me, but I have nothing to do with it, except that they use my name, just as the Goldwater Institute uses Goldwater's name. Uh-huh. Right. McCain is facing questions about his ties to a eponymous nonprofit after Bloomberg reported the Saudi government had donated $1 million to the nonprofit's fundraising arm. After a town hall event in Phoenix, McCain answered questions about the donation in a media scrum. McCain at one point distanced himself from the nonprofit, saying he had nothing to do with it beyond being its namesake. Is that really the case? What do you think? The Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia gave $1 million to the McCain Institute Foundation in 2004, tax records show. The donation was transferred to the Arizona State University's fundraising arm to benefit the McCain Institute for International Leadership, which is run through the university. Foreign campaign contributions to U.S. elections are banned under federal law, but there's no restriction on donations to nonprofits with ties to candidates or sitting politicians. Companies and foundations, some that have business before Congress, have contributed to at least $100,000 each to the foundation, USA Today reported in 2014. Ethics watchdog groups criticize the practice and the law that allows it, saying such donations provide a means for foreign governments and special interest groups to exert influence on politicians. Gee, do you think? The 5-term Republican is running for re-election this November. In April 2012, McCain met with several of his longtime political allies in Sedona, Arizona, to discuss his vision for a nonprofit aimed to preserve his political legacy. Those in attendance included then Senator John Kyle, Senator Lindsey Graham, then CIA Director David Petraeus, former U.S. Ambassador to NATO Kurt Volker, and actor Ben Affleck. One of these things just doesn't belong here. The Arizona Republic reported in 2012. The McCain Institute for International Leadership was created in December 2012 with an $8.7 million donation in unused funds from McCain's 2008 presidential campaign. It was established to promote character-driven leadership. Like he would know about that. And focus on issues that shaped McCain's career, such as foreign policy and national security. Its mission statement says it is guided by values that have animated McCain's career and his family. They've animated him. Values. Animated values. Right. McCain's career and his family, the animated McCain's career and his family, the Washington-based McCain Institute runs an internship program and holds events focused on issues like human trafficking and national security. I'm sure he's very, very concerned about human trafficking. For McCain, he thought it was very important to have something that becomes institutional, that will focus on issues and things he's cared about in his career, that goes well beyond his own contribution. Volker, McCain Institute director, told the Arizona Republic in 2014. McCain regularly attends events and fundraisers hosted by the McCain Institute. His wife, Cindy McCain, is on the Institute Human Trafficking Advisory Council, working with the nonprofit to raise awareness for her main policy issue. Many of McCain's longtime political allies sit on the nonprofit's board of directors. Tax records show a longtime McCain fundraiser, Carly Eddy, maintains the McCain Institute Foundation's financial records. McCain compared his role with the Institute to that of his Senate predecessor, Republican Barry Goldwater, with the Goldwater Institute in Arizona. The think tank was founded in 1988 by a group of conservative activists with the blessing of Goldwater to use his name. There's no indication Goldwater himself started the think tank. His widow told the Phoenix New Times in 1999 that Goldwater had lent his name to the Institute in 1988 because he believed its founder, Northern Arizona University's political science professor Michael Sanera, intended it to be academically oriented policy research organ. But Goldwater was critical of some of the policy positions the Institute took and tried to convince its board to change directions. It's clear McCain's role with the McCain Institute is not exactly comparable to Goldwater's. Still, McCain's role appears to be largely honorary, and his name does not appear in the foundation's tax records. I wonder why not. The Institute's employees report to the ASU president, and McCain has no involvement in its management or operations decisions, Volker told us. I don't believe that. I don't believe it for a minute. So, let's go down here. The Pinocchio test. McCain's answer during the media scrum was curious, since he helped set up the McCain Institute and clearly has ties to it. He has a symbolic role with the nonprofit, attends fundraisers, and he and his wife are supportive of its efforts. So his role clearly goes beyond how he characterized it, meaning that, he lied. Being the namesake of a think tank like Barry Goldwater was for the Goldwater Institute. It appears McCain misspoke. Oh, he didn't lie. He misspoke. According to his spokeswoman, McCain meant to express that he had nothing to do with the donation from the Saudi government to the McCain Institute. Right. Foundation rather than with the Institute itself. We don't play gotcha at the fact checker, and we understand that people make mistakes when they speak off the cuff, but McCain should be held accountable for his inaccurate claim because it ultimately misled the public to believe he has no ties to the Institute that he helped create. We award him 2 Pinocchios. I'd give him more. Anyway, so Q wanted us to see that. Now, here's something else he wanted us to see. So let's go take a boo, shall we? McCain Institute's failure to use donations for anti-trafficking purposes raises questions. Interesting. Questions about John McCain's foundation have arisen amid revelations that for the last several years the foundation has not been using its donations, instead depositing small amounts of their large endowment into the Arizona State University Foundation. This issue has added importance when considered in the context of John McCain's controversial sources of funding and the arrest of a number of past campaign workers on charges such as child abuse and drug trafficking. Told you he's not real interested in it. Now, the McCain Institute for International Leadership is a think tank, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to know that. Okay, with the connections, Okay, with the connections that the McCain Institute enjoys, the expectation would be that they would be using this generous endowments, ample staff, and influence to make meaningful strides in the fight against human trafficking, but an inspection of their finances reveals that this is not the case. Not the case. A review of the McCain Institute's filings with the IRS revealed that they are not, in fact, spending any of their endowment on combating human trafficking. What? Really? Or apparently on any other expenses. In 2012, the McCain Institute received $8,685,619 in donations, gifts, and grants, yet their expenses were a mere $500,000. In 2013, they again only contributed $500,000 of their endowment. In 2014, the McCain Institute received $1,305,000 and donated $1,305,000 and donated $1,500. No, and donated $1,500,000. All the donations made by the McCain Institute in 2012, 2013, and 2014 went to the Arizona State University Foundation, a group which appears to have nothing to do with human trafficking. Why McCain is not spending his foundation's endowment on anything, let alone anti-human trafficking efforts, raises questions about where the cash is actually going and what it is being used for. Well, oh, and look at here. Looky here. John McCain has a long history of corruption allegations and criminal staff members involved with his campaigns. The McCain Institute website features a long list of donors that includes Chevron, Bloomberg Philanthropies, Sir Evelyn and Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, FedEx Corporation, the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia, Walmart stores, etc. Walmart Stores Inc., and McCain's own 2008 presidential campaign. McCain has always been cozy with big-name donors, a habit which has caused him to be accused of impropriety in a number of instances. In 1989, McCain narrowly escaped corruption charges, along with 4 other senators, after it was alleged that they intervened on banker Charles Keating Jr.'s behalf to resist banking regulations in return for financial support. In 2008, McCain was accused of impropriety by Judicial Watch after he accepted campaign donations from multiple members of the Rothschild family in London. WikiLeaks also revealed that McCain had improperly lobbied the Russian government for campaign contributions. In 2016, McCain cut off reporters inquiring about a $1 million donation that he had received from Saudi Arabia in 2014. More recently, in February 2017, Breitbart accused McCain of corruption after it emerged that McCain, Paul Ryan, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, John Kasich, and Lindsey Graham had all accepted donations from George Soros. Imagine that. Imagine that. Multiple members of McCain's various campaign staff have been arrested in the past on criminal charges. No. In 2009, the former manager of McCain's Pueblo, Colorado presidential campaign office was arrested on child molestation charges after it was alleged he had abused a number of young boys. At least one molestation occurred during the time that he was working for McCain. In April 2016, a former fundraiser for John McCain was arrested on multiple felony drug charges, including child endangerment, after police found an active meth lab and meth, LSD, and cocaine in her house. She had been listed as a contact in fundraising documents for Senator McCain. The failure of the McCain Institute to actually spend their money on furthering the foundation's stated objectives, Senator McCain's long history courting controversy by attracting accusations of corruption and multiple instances of his campaign staff's involvement in criminal activities raises serious questions about the work being done by his institute to combat human trafficking and where the money given to it is actually going. Well, what do you think of that? But wait, there's more. Define money laundering. Well, money laundering is concealing the transformation of profits from illegal activities and corruption into ostensibly legitimate assets. Is that what McCain is doing? I wonder. Couldn't be. Define the word traitor. A traitor is a person who betrays a friend, country, or principle. Or with McCain, it would be all three of those things. A world without this man is a world better off. Q. So there's no doubt where Q stands on John McCain, the man of whom we do not speak. So let's push on. And the next Q post says, United Airlines to Guantanamo Bay? What airline check-in counter at PVG T2 is located at E? Now, remember in our last video, I said that E was the airport, that picture of the E was taken at the airport in Shanghai. And Terminal 2. And I stated it was Terminal 2 and E in the Shanghai airport. Now, this is being confirmed by Q. Q is saying, what airline check-in counter is at PVG? Now, PVG is the airport code for Shanghai Pudong International Airport. And he's asking us, what airline check-in counter is there at that airport? Terminal 2, there's two terminals, they're massive. Terminal 2 is located at E. Well, interestingly enough, it's United Airlines. That's the check-in counter at T2E. He's saying United Airlines to Guantanamo Bay. Then, I'm sorry. Whoops, there we go. What am I doing? Okay. I must be getting tired. Okay, now he's saying, what was the location of the ePIC posted on the other board? Now, he's talking about the other 8chan board, and like I said, it's the Shanghai Pudong International Airport. And I found that picture, and it looked very much like the one that E had posted. So, yeah. Why is this relevant? Because that is where the captive was flown from. The captive that they took, and it could be the guy, the Russian guy that was just caught. It could be him that they took, I would assume. But, and that's where he was flown out of. And where was he going? Well, Q tells us he was going to Guantanamo Bay. Now, I don't think that they would have a direct flight, United Airlines, to Guantanamo Bay, but who the heck knows? I don't know. Anybody that has any further insight on this, please let me know. So, let's go on to the next one. Now, an an anonymous user says, in the Q Bible, now the Q Bible is just something that someone has put together with all the Q posts and stuff. So in the Q Bible, this is the second shortest sentence. The first to come, we won. Ha 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 equals Huma Abedin. So this person's basically asking, when you did the ha 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 ha, did you mean Huma Abedin? Well, there's a double meaning there, because Q replies down here and says double meanings work well against sniffers. And of course sniffers are like bots that sniff out, I don't know. I'm not a complete computer weenie, so I don't know the correct definition of a sniffer, but I do know what they do. Now, he's saying it's a double meaning. This was a double meaning, and somebody told me that it was getting the last laugh because David Rothschild had written so many haws, and then 8 haws after, about the train crash in the GOP train crash. The night before that happened, he put, nobody's going to remember the speech tomorrow, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, whatever. And then Q did 9 haws, so it's like he got the last laugh. And so NQ is confirming it's a double meaning. So it could also stand for Huma Abedin. All right, now let's go up here. And here is a post by an anonymous user. And he says, I hope someday patriots, vets, and anons get the respect that we deserve. Marine anons have felt betrayed by the same people we were willing to die to protect. I've felt lost until you showed up in October. Thank you from the depths of my heart. He says form the depths, but I think he means from the depths of my heart. Now, this is someone that's obviously a vet, and they have felt betrayed because, he's been betrayed by the same people that he was willing to die to protect these people. And I can understand how they feel that way. And so Q responds and says, we are with you, patriot. We honor your service to our great country. Without people like you, the world would be lost. Godspeed, Q. Now, that's wonderful, and my sentiments are that exactly. I do thank those that serve our country and, are willing to sacrifice their life for our freedoms. Now, the next post, an anonymous user says, release prior to cover-up, public informed and collapse. Q, there is one thing that concerns me, somewhat related to this, but more related to the 60-40. The less the public knows, the more likely they are to falsely assign blame in the future, possibly even generations from now. It's worth keeping in mind. And Q responds responds to this person by saying, understand one simple fact. The U.S. is connected to the rest of the world. Knowing that, understand by default, if certain intel is released, it would cause worldwide mass suffering. We share the idea of open source, but value life and must make decisions, based decisions on outcomes and containability. Q. So Q answers why that is. Now, then Q says here, do not read into this spelling / structure error, heavy leg / attack ongoing. Q. I'm not really sure what exactly he's talking about. It could be, I know a lot of people have said, why is this all, why are you doing all this cryptic crap? Why are you doing all this with the spelling and the first spelling of names and whatever? I don't know if that's what he's referring to, maybe, but he says heavy leg attack ongoing. So, up here, and this is the last one for tonight, unless Q has posted more, and if he has, I don't think that I will cover them till the morning. But this one, an anonymous user says, don't care about your sentence structure, just care to know how full Gitmo's gonna be. And Q responds, maximum capacity. One other prison is being prepped. Q. So they're at maximum capacity. Now it's interesting because when they arrested that guy Sergey, the cyber guy, the Q commented, he said, cage is full. So that's what he was referring to. Gitmo's full. It's at maximum capacity. And there's one other prison being prepped. So there's definitely arrests happening. We may not hear about them all, but they're happening. So that's all we have for Q for this evening. And I will wrap up now. And hopefully tomorrow I will do another video if there is time and if Q posts. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. If you like this channel, make sure that you are subscribed and make sure that you stay subscribed because they are unsubscribing people randomly and frequently. So, and if you like my stuff, consider buying me a coffee because I like coffee, but certainly not necessary. Anyway, thank you so much and have a good day. See you in the next video.